All right, so this is emotion. This is video 9, looking at how we express using facial expression, body language, how we express emotion. So emotions are expressed in the body through body language, facial expressions, and also by the intonation of our voice. Okay, this section or this video is going to talk about all the different ways we detect emotion, how genders can differ in understanding emotions, how culture can impact emotions, and the impact of our facial expressions. So look at some general facts. Understanding different culture expressions is important. And the ability to read facial expressions is nearly ageless. Psychologists think that children at the age of 5 have the same ability to recognize emotions on a person's face as an adult does. There's a difference in your personalities. Introverts usually excel in understanding facial expressions. They can read somebody really well. Extroverts, however, are easier to read but struggle with understanding facial expressions. Our body language, 85% of our behavior is nonverbal, understanding one's body language. Is nonverbal communication universal? Not all nonverbal communication is universal. Certain body language can mean various things for different cultures. Most of us are good at deciphering emotions through nonverbal communication. It protects us, and that we've evolved as species to detect threats, to detect anger. Okay, but reading facial expressions, however, is universal. Different experiences can impact the way that we understand emotions or can read emotions. Children that were physically abused were more likely to respond to an angry image of a person's face rather than fearful. So they found out that experience can shape our understanding of facial expressions. So if an individual saw this and potentially was abused as a child, they could be more prone to see this as anger versus fear. Facial muscles reveal signs of emotions that you may be trying to conceal. Paul Ekman did a lot of research on finding out and understanding the 7 universal emotions. He found that fear is actually symbolized by a raised and pulled together eyebrows. He also researched what a natural smile is. It's raised muscles under your cheeks. It's known as the Duché smile. And this again was described by a Frenchman who researched this. His name was Duché. He found that an authentic smile actually only lasts about 4 seconds, and it's very different from the non-genuine smile. So if you were to look at Paul Ekman's smile over here on the right, which one would be the Duché smile, which is your natural smile? It would be the image that is located over here on the right versus the, you could say the fake smile. You research on understanding different universal facial expressions was done by Paul Ekman. Again, these Duché realized that we actually have what's known as a fake smile and a real smile. Oftentimes we have problems with detecting emotion. Although we're good at detecting emotions, we still struggle sometimes with detecting deception and interpreting online communication. So 2 things we struggle with: deception and online. Deception, most people find it difficult at detecting deceiving emotions. Even trained professionals like police officers, psychiatrists, judges, polygraphs, they detect deceiving emotions only 54% of the time. So that's something that you could detect if somebody's happy or sad, but lying is something that often researchers struggle with. Online communication is also impacting how we decipher information. We often struggle with understanding nonverbal, because nonverbal cues are not there, like the intonation of somebody's voice. So somebody could be stating something like, "Hello, are you there?" Or they could be asking, "Hello, are you there?" kind of in a worried voice, and you'd be able to decipher the difference between the two if it was over the phone. But using online texting or online communication, sometimes it could be used as sending miscues to an individual. Research on gender and emotions. So the bold things are just different facts that were proven or researched on understanding the difference between males and females. So women are much better at reading nonverbal emotions than men statistically. In 125 studies of sensitivity to nonverbal cues, thin slices of clips were shown to men and women. Women surpassed men on reading people's emotional cues over and over and over again. They were able to understand what the people were trying to portray in the images. Women are willing to talk and express their emotions more. When asked men and women about graduation, men responded like, "I feel bad." Women responded with a longer, drawn-out answer. "I will be bittersweet, but I will be happy and I will be sad." Women are more aware of their feelings. In studies of more than 23,000 people, women more than men reported themselves as open and understanding their feelings and expressing themselves over what men presented. One emotion men often do surpass, though, than women is anger. We're going to talk about anger a little bit more in the upcoming videos. When angry, men have an easier time acting out this emotion and expressing it. Women express and react to their emotions. Videotapes of emotional events, women were more expressive, and areas of the brain were actually more active when asked to talk about this emotion and what they saw. And women are often found to be more empathetic. In a recent survey, women referred more to characteristics of empathy, understanding than men did. Okay, and here's kind of another interesting fact too. The number of expressions that men were able to understand, women were more likely able to understand and express themselves in the various ways versus when men were asked to explain their emotions, they were less likely to able to express it. Nonverbal cues is something that is different in every culture. So we talked about facial expressions are the same, but nonverbal cues are different. A thumbs up in Brazil is often rude and offensive. In the United States, it means something is good. Clapping in Japan actually is a sign for worrying. In the United States, it's a sign of recognition. I included another kind of example down here is how nonverbal cues can be different. And understanding them in your culture and traveling is really important. And it's important for psychiatrists and teachers to really understand. Culture and facial expressions. So this is the part that I was talking about. Facial expressions are universal. Paul Eichmann, Wallace Friends, and Carol Izard are the three people that really researched this. They showed photographs around the world and people were asked to guess the emotion. Despite the different languages, cultures, and social norms, studies suggest that people speak and understand substantially the same facial expressions around the world. Whether it was a smile, people would represent that as happiness, in their language. Essentially, people share a set of universal emotional expressions that support the point that we evolve with these specific traits. So, are these learned? Okay, do we inherit these traits in terms of understanding the facial expressions? Is it observational? They have seen people in their lives smile, so maybe that's why they smile. Or is it more based off of evolution? So this is kind of cool. Research was done on blind people and emotions who have never seen a face. They found that people still exhibited the common facial expression associated with joy, sadness, fear, and anger. Darwin wasn't surprised that facial expressions speak a universal language. He believed our ancestors communicate non-verbally before verbally. Their ability to convey threats and greetings was with facial expressions. So maybe it wasn't so much observed, but these are traits that we inherently learn. Expressions keep people alive. The 7 basic emotions created by Paul Eichmann are listed below. He was a leading psychologist in emotions, and he suggested that everywhere around the world, people have these emotions. Happiness, sad, fear, anger, surprise, disgust, and the person added on the end was his additional idea that we also have the basic common expression of contempt. Culture and facial expressions, even though facial expressions are universal and the way they are expressed is different from culture to culture, and I've gone over this. In the United States, we're very visible with our emotions. However, in China, you want to be less visible with your emotions. If you're sad, you hide it, you mask it. Eye contact is one that can impact individuals. Native Americans don't look someone in the eye because it's disrespectful. However, in the United States, if you didn't express eye contact with me, that would be something that would be seen as disrespectful. So it's actually the opposite. And to know these